accident and emergency, you see some strange sights. Freak disasters, baffling symptoms, unlikely injuries. Unshockable staff take them all in their stride.
Oh, that's nice.
Our cameras have spent 5 months in Norfolk and Norwich University Hospital. Their A&E department treated 75,000 cases last year. Most of them your usual kind of casualties. But we were waiting for the unusual cases. The rare and remarkable stories that you don't normally get to see. From extraordinary surgery...
Another life saved, as they say.
And some very patient patients.
Someone bit my ear off.
To the weirdest treatments.
A leech is a fantastic device which gets us out of a very difficult situation.
These cases are jaw-dropping, sometimes daft, and always bizarre. Coming up, a circus dwarf superglued his penis to a vacuum cleaner.
The A&E's full and he's got a Hoover stuck to the end of his dick.
Oh, very painful because all the glue was stuck to my pubes and everything.
We lift the lid on toilet injuries.
Probably one of the most bizarre I've ever seen. I mean, it's not an everyday occurrence, that's for sure.
A boy puts out a sparkler on his own trousers.
It looked as though his pants had sort of melted.
Into his leg.
And disaster strikes a man who's been shopping for his nan.
I thought it might be bad because I heard him say, I can see my bones sticking out.
Our first case from Norwich Tonight features Abby, a seamstress at a factory that makes ballet shoes. And can you see what she's done to her thumb? It's easier than spotting a needle in a haystack.
I'm changing the cotton on my industrial sewing machine. So I make ballerina shoes. As I was changing it, it just slipped in. Throbs a bit.
Abby's not just any old cobbler, mind you. She makes ballet shoes for celebrities.
Did some for Amy Winehouse the other week.
Unfortunately, this isn't the kind of needle you can play back to black with. Still, Abby's determined to find the silver lining in the situation.
I was thinking about leaving it there for a bit of jewellery. Quite nice. Could put a hook on it or something. Carry things on it.
Before Abby has any more ideas about turning her accident into a permanent piercing, she's sent to X-ray. The medics need to check whether the needle's gone through her bone. If it has, she's going to need surgery to yank it out.
Oh, I see. So close. The bone's just there.
Oh,
That's
it's
just
so close. Yeah, that's a good one, that one.
OK.
But though the needle's missed the bone, Dr. Chase still has to get it out the finger.
Are you all right with needles and that sort of thing?
Yeah.
She's clearly not that good with needles.
This is going to be a little bit sore.
Yeah,
just
it probably is.
Since she's so cheerful about the great big needles sticking out of her thumb, you'd think Abby wouldn't mind another little one joining it in there.
Shit. Oh, God, I can feel my thumb. Shit.
I'm sorry, I know that's miserable.
Oh, it stings when it gets in there.
They've still got to get the big needle out. Fortunately, Abby's quickly restored to her laid-back self.
Is that sore or is that...
No, it doesn't feel nice.
And now her thumb is numb. All it takes is a little wiggle, and out it comes.
Easy.
Absolutely. I'll just get one of the nurses to come and put a dressing on that.
At least Abby's learnt to be more careful in the future.
I might do it again next week.
No, but seriously, surely this is the kind of mistake you only make once.
I've only been in the job 3 months and this is the second time I've done it now. I'll either get used to it or keep coming back. It gets me out of work for a little while.
When you're anticipating going back to work? A couple of days?
Yeah.
3 days? Yeah. Should we be looking out for you next week sometime?
Abby seems strangely keen to become a regular at Norwich A&E, but just in case she doesn't manage to needle herself again in the future, she's keeping a souvenir.
I look like proud on it, don't I?
Bonfire night. It was once one of the busiest in the year for the A&E team. Happily, Britain seems finally to have learnt to stand well back when the blue touch paper is lit. These days there's far fewer cases of banger burns or Roman candle wreckage, but not everyone's old enough to know better. 5-year-old Harry here is fine now, but earlier he had a bit of a hot pants incident, in a manner of speaking.
It was a decent amount of flames, yeah. It looked as though his pants had sort of melted.
Into his leg?
When he set out tonight, Harry was wearing a pair of trousers just like his brothers. Trouble is, they're made out of a flammable material, so perhaps not the best choice for bonfire night. Keen to get their son in the mood at a local fireworks display, Harry's parents give him a sparkler. Harry, however, doesn't like sparklers, so he decides to put it out on his trousers. Needless to say, the combination of flame and combustible leisure wear is not a good one, and his leg flares up like a rocket. Though these kind of burns can be horrific, it looks like Harry's got off quite lightly. Nevertheless, Sister Karen McKay is on hand to make sure there's no lasting damage.
Oh, wow.
The burn needs to be treated quickly to relieve the pain and reduce the risk of infection and scarring.
What I'll do is I'll just get some scissors and we'll just trim the dead skin off there. And just leave. It won't hurt. You won't feel that skin.
The next step is to cut away part of the blister on Harry's leg.
I think round the edges of some of the dead skin, you could see that the black area, and that was probably the fibres from the trousers that it got on, but it hadn't actually stuck to the knee, which is always a potential. That obviously is going to hurt.
Now all that's left to do is apply some antiseptic lotion.
It's like cream, doesn't it, Harry?
Don't be fooled though, Harry. It may look like Mr. Whippy, but you won't like the taste.
All right, just try and sit still for me, sweetheart. Pop a bandage on and then we're all done. All right? That's all there is to it tonight.
With Harry all patched up, it's time for the family to leave A&E. But not before Sister McKay dispenses one last word of advice.
Next time, beware of sparklers.
Yes, he said he won't be getting any more.
Look, all those rockets to use tomorrow.
Yeah, they're not touching them. I'm pleased I'm not here tomorrow.
Come on.
Of course, we all like to look hot. However, it is possible for your fashion choices to get too hot. In 2005, the number of Brits hospitalised when their clothes combusted was 142. Some weren't even properly dressed for the doctor. 25 of them ignited their nightwear. Among the most common causes of scorched garments are gas hobs and falling asleep too close to the fire. Contrary to popular belief, synthetic materials such as nylon, polyester and spandex don't catch fire easily. Once alight, however, these man-made fibres will melt and stick to the skin. Your best bet for a fireproof fabric is more natural. Wool. When your clothes catch fire, resist the temptation to run around screaming. That will only fan the flames and make your togs burn faster. Instead, the official advice is to stop panicking, drop to the floor, and roll around till you've put the flames out. Better yet, just try not to set fire to yourself in the first place. Of course, Norfolk isn't the only place where weird cases can be found. A&E departments across Britain all have tales to tell of unusual accidents that have screeched up to their doors. One of the most bizarre of recent years involved a circus dwarf, Dan Blackner, who had a sticky moment with his wee man. When the circus came to Edinburgh Town in August 2007, it was business as usual in this unusual big top.
I'm from the Circus of Horrors. My name's Captain Dan, Demon Dan on the stage.
Captain Dan is sort of multi-talented, we could say.
I do all different types of acts on stage.
Like all circus performers, Dan's a skilled professional. That means he can do stunts that you know you mustn't copy at home. And would you really want to?
Light bulbs.
Opens a beer bottle with his eye socket.
And I put fireworks up my arse and light them.
That's the kind of behaviour you'd rightly expect to land someone in A&E. But Dan's medical emergency wasn't directly caused by any of those daring tricks.
The legendary part of his act is attaching the Hoover to his willy and dragging it around the stage.
One night, just before he was due on stage, his key prop took a bit of a bashing.
Somebody stood on the end of my Hoover and it cracked the suction bit.
With a broken nozzle, Dan's Hoover wouldn't stay in place for his act. He needed to fix it, and quickly.
So I mended the crack with a super glue.
Dan squirted on a whole tube of the stuff. He was already due on stage, but was confident that super glue sets within seconds.
Switched the Hoover on, connected it to my dick.
And Captain Dan was performing his act as normal.
And I've done all my act, come off stage, switched the Hoover off. I thought, hang on a minute.
And instead of coming off, it wouldn't come off. It was stuck.
I went and told Dr. Hayes. Dr. Hayes?
Yes, Dan?
I've super glued my whistle.
How have you done that, you lunatic?
I've put super glue on it.
On your dick?
No, on the Hoover.
And he said, I read the label, and he said it'll be dry in 20 seconds. So we looked at the label, and it actually said it'll be dry in 20 minutes. And then we put him in my car straight after the show, decided to take him to A&E. Just keep it together there, Captain Dan.
But when I got to the hospital, I started getting really embarrassed about it.
Dr. Hayes went in first and informed the A&E receptionist about Dan's predicament.
She said, OK, do you want to bring him in then? And I said, well, I can, but the A&E's full and he's got a Hoover stuck to the end of his dick.
Next minute, 2 nurses come out with a wheelchair.
And she said straight to Captain Dan, what have you been doing then?
Put me a blanket over me with my Hoover connected. You could tell they was trying to laugh, but trying to be professional. They didn't want to laugh.
A female colleague came over to the desk to tell me that there was a case that probably I should be dealing with rather than her. The patient was in a cubicle, and when I went in I saw Danny, Captain Dan, the Demon Dwarf. Protruding from his trousers there was roughly a 6 foot length of corrugated rubber tubing, and he explained to me that that was glued to his penis. The main problem, as far as I could see, was in fact that the glue had fastened itself to the hair.
Oh, very painful, because all the glue was stuck to my pubes and everything.
We take soap and water and we gently wash, and we just work on it until the glue frees itself.
It's like having a very slow waxing.
So once I was able to gently free the hair, I was able just to put a gloved finger into the tube and just tease the skin away from the plastic tubing.
Every time I look at my penis, all I can think about is this male nurse with his hands all over me.
Within an hour, the faultlessly professional medical staff of Edinburgh Royal Infirmary had freed Dan's manhood and saved his livelihood.
My penis is a very important part of my act. I don't know what I'd do without it.
Captain Dan made a full recovery, and you'll be happy to know he's still with the circus and his Hoover. Clearly, his accident occurred in the line of professional duty, but other vacuum injuries have been reported where there may have been alternative motives. In most cases where men meet Hoovers, they clearly aren't engaged in housework. Accident victims are usually reluctant to admit this. The British Medical Journal carried an account of a patient who claimed to be changing the plug of his wife's Hoover while his wife was out shopping, and while he just happened to be completely naked. Somehow, it turned itself on. Result? Tears around the external meatus, deep laceration of the side of the glans, and permanent scarring. Another patient, age 49, claimed that just at the moment he leaned over his Hoover to switch it off, the loose-fitting dressing gown he was wearing became undone and his penis was sucked into the vacuum cleaner. The BMJ reported a number of similar cases, including one man who completely split his urethra. There's a clear warning here. Best avoid the shake and vac, chaps. It's fair to say that some of the sights turning up at A&E are far from pretty. The case coming up is the most hardcore ever featured on Bizarre ER. So if you're at all squeamish, go and make a cup of tea for the next 3 minutes or so. This is Gary. His ankle's been bent into a very bizarre position. We did warn you.
He has sustained what we call a compound fracture dislocation to his left ankle, which means that the bones have actually come through the skin.
The combination of broken tibia, fibula and dislocated ankle suggests an impact of incredible force.
Can't get much worse without the foot being fully amputated, really. Paul, could you actually get some more morphine because he's actually got quite a high resistance. Does he have hair?
It looks like the result of a failed parachute jump. And it's true that Gary fell off a wall. But it was this wall, less than ½ a metre high. And he wasn't performing some daredevil stunt. He was taking some shopping to his nan's house. Heading back from the shops with fags and orange squash for his nan, Gary skips playfully onto the wall. When he steps down, disaster strikes. He tries to get up again, but the pain's too intense. He starts to hop along on the good leg, but that's when he notices the bone sticking out of his sock. There's no one else around to help, and Gary still has to get back to his nan's house, somehow. It becomes his own personal Everest, an epic journey of 12 metres. Gary has to crawl the whole way, dragging behind him his bloodied stump. It's touching the void, Norwich style. Unable to reach the doorbell, he gets his nan's attention by lobbing a stone at her window. She dials 999.
I thought it might be bad because I heard him say, I can see my bones sticking out.
Gary's wound has to be hosed down with saline solution.
Oh, fucking hell.
That's water with the added sting of salt. There's a huge risk the exposed bone marrow will become infected. And if the break isn't quickly reset, the blood loss and damage could lead to gangrene or even amputation.
What we need to do is really get his foot into a correct anatomical position as soon as possible.
Nice deep breaths, Gary. Just really nice deep breaths, mate.
Unfortunately, in the A&E setting, it's not a case where we can give the patient a general anaesthetic, so they are going to be aware of what's really going on.
And there's one other little problem. They can't give him any more pain-killing morphine because they're worried about likely side effects. In other words, this is going to really hurt, even for those of us just watching.
Nice and relaxed, Gary. Doing really well.
It really is the only way to save Gary's foot.
Fucking hell!
All right.
I think you're done, mate. I think you cooked.
Sorry, I'm very sorry about that. It's very difficult.
At least you got a sense of humour about it, mate. There isn't a gentle way of doing it, really. Anything. Sometimes I think medicine's viewed relatively softly, but at times a bit of brute force and ignorance is what's required, really. All right, got it? Yep.
It's clearly not been Gary's day, and unfortunately, his misery isn't over yet. After an X-ray to check the joints back in position, he requires 5 hours of major surgery, and by the looks of it, half the contents of the hospital's toolbox.
This is one of the more extreme ankle fractures that we would see.
I was awake all through the operation. I could see him doing it, look at it. They had metal plates and rods fitted. And, yeah, I was glad when it was over.
I want to make sure that that wound looks okay and that everything's covered.
The next day, it's time to find out whether his foot's been saved.
If the wound doesn't look healthy, then it might be that we need to do further surgery to cover it up, which is quite involved.
Gary's got to grit his teeth one more time.
Trying to warn you best I can, there's no easy way around doing this, really.
Oh.
Okay. I'm sorry about that.
Now all he can do is pray his run of bad luck has finally ended.
but the actual metalwork and the broken bone is just under here, but it looks like it's all covered up, and that's great news. There's certainly nothing for us to do. I'm not saying that we're out of the woods yet. We need to basically give your body a little time, let the swelling to settle, and keep a close eye on it.
Thanks to the speedy resetting of his bones by A&E, infection hasn't taken hold. Gary's foot is on the road to recovery.
That's what we're here for, to save life and limb, really, I suppose.
What's more, the surgeons have finally found the answer to the question that's bamboozled them the whole way through. How on earth did he break his ankles so badly by falling off a wall just half a metre high?
His bones are very much more brittle than they would be normally. And I think this is part of the reason why he's fractured his ankle, just falling from such a small height.
When bones are brittle, they lack calcium to make them strong, which means they're more easily broken. Possible causes include genetics, diet, and even certain medication. This diagnosis will have a big impact on Gary's life.
I'm going to have to be very careful in the future. Jumping off anything or jumping up at anything, you have to be very careful.
He's free to head home, and though the result of his fall was bizarrely severe, he can take some comfort from the fact that even without brittle bones, you don't have to drop that far to do serious damage. You're already at severe risk of injury, falling just 2 metres. In a single year, over 2,000 people injured themselves tumbling from head height, and 7 died. Falling a mere 3 metres, there's a 65% likelihood of fracturing your hands or legs. If you're unlucky enough to plummet from the 3rd storey of a building, you've only a 50-50 chance of surviving. From the 6th floor, you'd be falling at 40 miles an hour, and once you hit the ground, your chances of still being alive would sadly be near 0. Happily, there are a few miraculous exceptions. In Manhattan in 2007, 2 window cleaners accidentally fell from the roof of a tower 47 storeys to the ground. One died instantly, but the other, his brother, is making a rapid recovery. The furthest distance someone has survived falling is far greater. In 1972, a Yugoslavian passenger jet was flying at 33,000 feet when terrorists blew it up. Air hostess Vesna Volovic fell over 10 kilometres without a parachute. She was the only survivor of the bomb. Her skull, legs and some vertebrae were fractured and she was temporarily paralysed, but she made a complete recovery. She still travels by air. Well, it's the kind of thing that's unlikely to happen twice. The staff in A&E are skilled at maintaining a professional demeanour, even when faced with the most bizarre incidents. Occasionally, however, something happens which makes even the most hardened medic drop their guard.
Probably one of the most bizarre I've ever seen. I mean, it's not an everyday occurrence, that's for sure.
Craig is a delivery man who has smashed his big toe. It seems no one ever warned him about things that fall off the back of a lorry.
I undone the back door on one of the vans and a toilet actually fell out of the back and dropped on my big toe.
A toilet?
It's clearly not your bog-standard sort of accident.
A sanitary toilet fell out the back of a lorry and landed on your foot.
But Craig's toe stood its ground.
The toilet actually sort of broke in about 3 or 4 pieces, so that's quite heavy. I think they weigh about sort of between like 35 and 55 pounds.
Unfortunately for Craig, his problems can't be easily flushed away.
You've broken the tip of the bone. All around here is shattered, really. We call that a compound fracture. That means that there's a risk of infection getting into the broken bone.
Craig is given a course of antibiotics and some sensible advice.
Probably have to walk sort of flat-footed so that you don't put too much pressure on the toe. And steel toe cap boots in the future would be a good idea.
When it happened, I just couldn't believe it that it actually broke on my toe and not on the concrete.
There must be a few jokes that you could crack about
there
this, but at the
is.
moment I
And
can't think of any.
I've got one, and my boss actually said to me, well, just think about it, you can have a day in lieu.
Oh, my goodness sake. OK, all right. I mean, I'm fairly good on the repartee, but that's brilliant.
The trouble of it is we have the fitters come in, and they're ripping me to bits straight away.
I'm sure they are. You'll never live it down. Your friends will never let you forget that.
Oh, definitely not. I mean, as soon as I walk into anybody's house, don't let him anywhere near the toilet.
Considering what we do to them, you can hardly blame a lab for lashing out. But like many criminal acts, it's often the elderly that are the most vulnerable. Yes, Brenda here is another patient who's been the victim of a lavatorial accident.
Well, I just lifted the toilet seat up to sit on the toilet. And my little finger got the other side of the toilet seat and that bent right back. Bit stupid.
It seems from the X-ray that simply catching her finger whilst lifting the lid has resulted in a break. Dr. Hamid does the diagnosis.
What you basically has done is there's a crack there on the finger, okay?
Yeah.
But any broken bone, no matter how small it is, takes 4 to 6 weeks to heal.
The doctor straps Brenda's broken finger to its neighbour to keep it fixed while it fixes.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
The variety of bog-based injuries never cease to surprise the hospital staff. As ever, drink is a particular danger. After a bender on the booze, you should be careful with your U-bend.
We did see somebody who'd been to the beer festival and had been a bit drunk and sort of like gone to the loo. You know how you sort of and like banged down on the toilet, and as he landed on it, the toilet broke, and like the edge of the broken bowl just like cut straight through his buttock, and his buttock was like laid into 2 halves. So it was really massive. It looked like an axe injury.